What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Hidden Power, a Pokemon podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the third legendary for Scarlet and Violet, a new Paradox Pokemon that could potentially be in the DLC. We're also going to be discussing how this third legendary could impact and shift our understanding of the Pokemon universe. My name is Dusty Go-Goat. Today I'm here with the Lumios Post.
Hey guys.
And Soul Silver Art.
What's up, what's up?
Hey guys, I'm so glad we're doing this today. I want to just insert one little thing that I've been thinking about, reflecting on this week, and it's kind of the fact that I think I'm starting to like Golden Go.
Oh,
I want to, I've been trying to workshop my Violet team whenever I get to it. I have not cracked open my Violet version yet, but I'm gonna have to make a team, and I think I just keep seeing Golden Go and all over online, and I'm starting to actually like it. It kind of rides around on its surfboard. I don't know, it's kind of a sleeper hit. What do you guys think about that?
I can't stop laughing.
I will say so. Okay, I still don't like Golden Go. I can't get over this 1990s string cheese looking mascot. I mean,
that's the nice thing about it.
But for me, I will say yesterday at the time that we're recording this, I battled Kayla's Capsule, and she brought a Golden Go, and he did take down, I believe, 3 of my Mons. So I will say, as someone who loves the competitive side of these games, I credit where credit is due. Golden Go has some talent. That said, I'm still not a great fan of the design. Loved Kayla's name for it. It was Butters. I thought that was adorable.
I like that.
It does fit. It does fit.
I can't believe it's not Golden Go.
But I'm still not a fan.
Yeah, I don't know. So what I think the way I've kind of been looking at it is that it's like a 90s mascot, right? But what better way, what better Pokemon to celebrate 1,000, the 1,000 Pokemon mark, than something that looks like a 90s mascot, right? I mean, Pikachu.
How about literally anything else?
What would you make it? What would you make it? The third legendary?
I don't care. Baxcalibur, Apom. I don't care anything.
Apom is a
Apom.
No.
Yeah. We get a convergent Apom.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my gosh.
All I have to say, a Paradox Apom that's got a mechanical arm.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be. That would be, but I mean, it's not even its own Pokemon. I feel like Golden Go at least is a new one.
I think it was really disappointing when I feel like most things are disappointing when you have a specific expectation. But now that I've just kind of let it sit, and I don't think of it as what I wanted a Mimic Pokemon to be, or a Mimic treasure chest. That could have been really cool. Now I'm just looking at it as a goofball. I don't know. It's just it's a weirdo.
No, dude, I'm on a roller coaster. I'm on a roller coaster right now because I was just oh wow, that is pretty cool that it is a 90s mascot and Pokemon number 1,000. That's a really good connection. I've never thought about that. And then you just said the Mimic thing, and I just
it goes back down. Yeah. It still could be so much.
For me, it was the Mimic thing. I was so excited to get a Mimic Pokemon, and then when we got the announcement of Gimmighoul, I loved it. I thought it was really cute. I was so excited to see what it evolved into. I also think that didn't help that, leakers at the time were telling us it would be liquid gold, which just sounds so cool. And that's not what this is. That's not what this is. It's string cheese.
I always
a fanny pack.
I don't know where the liquid gold. I think it was from our friend, but it just is. I always thought it would be coins stacked on top of each other, and I always heard that it was going to be a man, and so I was just okay, it's going to be a man coin thing. I never expected it to be a Mimic. Almost. I was just upset about not having a Mimic in general. Yeah, I think that, to be honest with you, I'm kind of with Dusty a little bit. I kind of like it a tiny bit. I put it a little higher in my personal tier list at this point. I don't
happy
like
for
it
you
a lot.
all, but no.
I don't. Don't get me wrong. I still don't like it, but it's it's higher than F.
All right, guys, let's get right into it. We got DLC is coming. We know this from the leakers. This has been hinted at that we will receive DLC, and throughout the Area Zero plotline, there are tons of hints at essentially this mysterious beast. So what we're looking at right here, this is in the Scarlet book. It's this mysterious disc Pokemon. It reads, while separated from the research team in the crater's depths, I found a strange entity. Whether it was a Pokemon or even alive at all, I know not. It bore a shell with layers of overlapping hexagons and gleamed brighter still than gemstones. Viewed as a whole, it resembles a mysterious, brilliant disc. So this is what a lot of people are expecting to be the third legendary for Scarlet and Violet.
I'm excited for this thing. It looks very like it could be very turtle-esque, and there's been a lot of fan art kind of depicting it as like a snapping turtle or something, which is really, really cool. But I don't know. I love the turtle Pokemon. Like, I love Dreadnought. I love Carcosa. Of course, Blastoise, Torkoal. But I don't know how I feel about this thing just because of, I don't know, that drawing in the book is very
abstract.
Yeah, that's exactly the word I was looking for. I mean, I don't know, but I do imagine that is a very loose depiction of the third legendary. Like, I imagine that it's not kind of like we were talking about with Golden Go, how we had all these leaks saying like it's going to be one thing, and then it ended up being something completely different. I imagine that's a very similar thing we're seeing here. So I don't know. I'm curious to see the final product.
Yeah, I think with most of the things in this Scarlet book, the depictions don't actually match what these Pokemon actually look like. So, like, I mean, we obviously have the Scarlet, or what is this? The imagined Pokemon that looks like Suicune. It looks like a culmination of a Suicune, Entei, Raikou. It's probably not exactly what it's going to look like. I guess the example I want to use is right here with Great Tusk. It was called the Monster of Area Zero. And this is not exactly what it looks like. It looks similar to this.
Good point. Yeah.
But it doesn't look exactly like that. So I think in something as great as a third legendary, I mean, if we take a look at this, there's no way this like the writer of this book, right? The writer of the Scarlet book was not at a vantage point where he could see all the different planets in the backgrounds, right? He was not viewing the Earth from this perspective. I'm sure it was this mighty beast that was horrifying, and then this is a depiction of it. Like, wow, it's so big, it's so scary. I could see it eating up and swallowing the world. So yeah, I definitely think it's going to be something not this grand. I do not think we're going to be getting a Pokemon that's as big as the Pokemon Earth itself. That doesn't make any sense. That's not a Pokemon.
No way.
I think that was more like a depiction of its power that like it radiated.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the most like interesting and weird part about it is the whole thing of it being a disc Pokemon. Like, what? I guess that just is supposed to be like a sphere, like, so if it is a turtle, which I have very high expectations for it to be some kind of turtle, that it would be, when he looked at it, that it had like a shell that looked like a sphere disc thing. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I do think that there is a chance it could be based off of, and Dusty, there you go, you have it up, the World Turtle. I think that, that could be what's at play here, just because in that depiction it is like out in celestial, like, in space, and celestial, Ed Sheeran. See, look, it's all connected.
I just got banned from YouTube for mentioning that.
DMCA. Should we start singing it now? But I had said back when we first heard that song, like, I wonder if, since it's playing in the credits, if it would be a tease to how the third legendary might be something celestial, and like, what's more celestial than a turtle that is said to like carry the world on its back? And I imagine it will be a much more figurative sense, because again, it's not going to be that big, but it could even be like an Arceus sense, in the sense of like, so Legends Arceus, when you catch Arceus, it actually says that Arceus let a piece of him go with you. So it's implied that like Arceus, the one you send out of a Pokeball, is not the true form of Arceus, right?
Oh,
So
I love that. I love that.
Similar thing with this. It's like it's its earthly form, but it has like a divine form too.
I totally forgot that that's something that we learned in Legends Arceus, because that was always the big question. It's like, how can we possibly have this Pokemon that is viewed as a god, right, and has godly powers, was said to create other Pokemon? How could we possibly capture that in a man-made object technology, and then like also there's multiple pieces. There's multiple of the gods. Like that never made sense to me, and now it makes sense that this is just a single piece. That is really cool. Like Arceus is literally just a single piece. The same way that this creature is likely sending out multiple pieces of itself to create Terra crystals or terrelastalization.
Well, it's kind of like, like not to get like too religious here, but like, like the whole meme with, in fact, it's going around right now with like biblically accurate, like Mousehold, Tinkaton, all that.
Yeah.
Shout out to The Last Shaman for all those because they're incredible. I love them. But, where that came from was the idea that like based off of like the Bible's description of angels, the whole human with a halo and wings actually is not accurate. It would instead be this really freaky looking divine thing. And so that's kind of how I imagine it, is like this depiction, what we will see of the world turtle will actually be what our minds can comprehend of it, whereas there is actually a much more divine world turtle that like this is only a piece of, I guess. I don't know. Pokemon religion 101, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we'll get that in Mesa Goza. That'll be part of the DLC expansion. We'll get religion 101.
Possibly.
Today we're talking about Arceusism.
That would be kind of cool to actually get more of that stuff.
Yeah, it's basically lore. So
yeah,
right, yeah.
There's like a professor that comes in
crave.
from Sinnoh. There's like someone who comes in from Sinnoh, and they're like talking about the Canalov Library. They're like, I made donations.
Imagine that Rowan come
cool.
in and like, here's our guest lecturer, Professor. Oh man.
No, you know what it should be? What we're missing from this Gen 9 game is a character from Johto. That is what we're missing.
We're missing characters in general. They need to bring in characters from other games. If this, because there's a lot of speculation that the third legendary is bringing like imaginations to life, and if that's true, then I would like to imagine that we get the Pokemon World Tournament back, and maybe the third legendary can bring that to life so I can see older characters again.
You're kind of kidding, but I really would like to see that in a game.
No, I'm not kidding at all. I would really like that.
No, you're kidding. You're kidding about the third legend. You bring that upon. That'd be pretty sweet.
Right.
Yeah, I think that it would be super, super neat if they did kind of, I don't know, gave us some more lore around the third legend, because like the history class at Mesa Goza gave us a lot about Area Zero and a lot about the Great Crater of Paldea, and it gave us a lot about the Ruinous Quartet. Well, if you're adding more legendaries, I think it stands to reason maybe you could add some more, classes about that at least.
That's actually a good theory, like a good speculation right there. Like that definitely could happen. I could see it.
Well, you know what? They do call them too. Is it not called like History 101 and stuff? Because like they can very easily just, DLC. You now can take History 102.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean now that we're a champion, I mean we should be able to take some post grad classes.
Yeah. Get our doctorate in Pokemon.
Yeah, the big question that I really have with this third legendary is the whole thing around time travel, right? That's the whole thing that I want to know about, because there's a lot of there's some misunderstandings that I have about whether it was this thing that brought the Paradox Pokemon into current day, right, or into reality, versus Arvin's parent, who whether the human technology was able to replicate a time machine or whatever you want to call it. Because it's not, I don't think it's necessarily just a time machine. It's kind of like a reality machine.
Yeah, I mean, because the whole thing is, especially in Violet, if it goes into the future, well, there's not like one set future, so it would be implied that it could hypothetically access any future, and Turo just happened to be accessing the future where everything is metal and Ultron won against the Avengers, I guess.
It really bothers me that the Violet Paradox are not actually Steel type, because Steel type's one of my favorite types, and it's such a strong type. And so many times I'm like, oh, this would be cool to use on my team, and then I'm like, no, it's just fighting an electric type. There's so many fighting and electric types in this game. Anyways,
only two. Good. There's Iron Hands and Palmet. That's not so bad.
No, I'm sorry.
Koraidon and Miraidon.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean.
You mean like fighting and electric?
And electric.
Yes.
My team at one point was like I had 5 fighting types on my team, and I'm like, this is a problem.
See, I love the fighting type, so I have no qualms with that. But like in Galar. I mean, some of my favorites were Surfetched and Graplocked. I loved Graplocked.
True.
So I'm fine. Keep adding fighting types. Electric types I'm not as big on. But yeah, that's a great topic of conversation though, with like what type do you think the third legend would be?
True.
I guess when I think of like a mystical legendary, Psychic definitely comes in, and I mean we were talking about like, yeah, I feel like Psychic makes sense. Psychic is like celestial, right?
I can't see them doing like Psychic Dragon again though.
That's
Yeah,
true.
no, I agree.
I was thinking fairy because, like, what is this thing? This thing's nothing more than a fairy tale. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole debate with the Scarlet and Violet book.
That is a good.
It's just, like, they don't know if Heath really saw these things or if Heath was kind of, full of it and was just writing stuff down.
And the fairy type is really like the magic type. I feel like that's the new magic type.
Mysticism and stuff, yeah.
It's about, like, I think the way I understand fairy type is it's one of the most raw infinity energy like typings, right? You have dragon energy, so the dragon type is just like raw power, and then fairy is kind of in the same boat. So I could see
dragon fairy would be.
Dragon fairy would be really neat. Haven't had it since Mega Altaria.
Yeah. Most people think it's going to be Dragon Rock, which is just logical, but
it's true, like glass or something.
Terrestrial, yeah.
Yeah, just because of the
true. Or what if they like? I mean, I guess it's maybe it's Dragon normal type and it can become any type.
Oh no!
Or just Dragon type, or just normal type, like Arceus, right? It's like a lack of type.
What if it's reptilian makes me go Dragon's like a lock in my opinion.
But what if it's like?
Well, every third legendary is Dragon as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, cut you off.
Is that true?
Yeah, no, it's true, because Necrozma was pure Psychic, but then they fixed it in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon by giving it the light form, which is Psychic Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
That's
They're
true.
all
Rayquaza, Giratina, Kyurem. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Zygarde.
I mean, they could change. They are known to do these things.
No, what about oh, is it Dragon Poison? Is Eternatus Dragon Poison?
All Dragon, does he?
Wow, that's cool. Well, so what I was gonna say is like, I mean, it's never been done, and I always thought Arceus should have been this. But what if they actually don't give it a type? And what if it's mystery type, right? Because it's a terrestrial Pokemon. Or
that is true.
Like I could see them doing that, and it wouldn't even be that difficult to code in, especially considering that like there's Pokemon types that allow for that. You can actually not have a type. Like
the whole thing with PLA was it hinted like there were a lot of hints to the like next gen. So what if the Legends plate was just kind of a hint to what they're doing with the third legendary? Like it's something where it just kind of can change type on a whim, like Arceus with the Legends plate.
I mean, and that would make sense with this gimmick specifically, right? It has the ability. Okay, so this is another thing. This legendary, maybe it has nothing to do with time travel, and its main power is creating reality out of whatever it wants. It can just like create something into existence. That is so cool. So like, and I feel like that ties in with the Paradox Pokemon being like just like interpretations of whatever this thing thinks it could be, and then also giving any Pokemon any type, right? Because like we understand that the Terra Crystals, it's got those little eyeballs. That is believed to be one of the scales of this third legendary, right?
Or at least yeah.
So it truly is just like it can give anything to anything. It's just like it's a wish giver.
That'd be cool. It's really hard to figure out because from what we know in the game, it just basically pushes that it's about Terrestrial. Like that's like its thing. So I don't know if it's actually even connected to paradoxes, but that it resides in Area Zero is kind of a giveaway to it being somewhat related to paradoxes. But I don't know. It's debatable. Like we don't know. The only thing we do know is it's definitely related to Terrestrial.
Yeah.
So here in this book about the phantom memory, right? It's like Heath, the author of the Scarlet book, says he wakes up. He was like doing something, and then he wakes up after being unconscious, and what is it? He's in an unfamiliar place, has experienced something as if it was a dream, and and this is, to me, this definitely feels like doings of, or there was some sort of like the third legendary got involved in some way.
He knocked him over the head and said, "Hey, write this for me."
Yeah.
So this page specifically, go back there, Dusty. The one with the gems. Is that when it's talking about the Guardian? It mentions it a few times. Is that like Roaring Moon or Iron Valiant, or do we think that that's the third legendary? I don't know because I haven't finished the game yet, so I don't know.
I didn't even realize that. Perhaps
Can you
that
read it?
strange, countless days into the descent, we reached at last the very depths of the great crater. So, in the game, there we found a cave with formations of gemstones, which we do see in the game, shining blindingly bright as far as we could see. Perhaps that strange light itself is the Guardian said to watch over treasure deep within the crater. I think that's the third legendary. I don't think
that's
it's
the third legendary tease.
I mean, it even looks like the third legendary, right?
What's the very next page?
It's like the next page is this new imagined Pokemon.
I think it's that.
No.
I think that was them imagining, so they think it's the Guardian, and then that is them depicting what that Guardian could look like.
I mean, it could be those. It could be.
No,
I think
they don't call this. They don't call this the Guardian.
Yeah, but
This
they
just
call
says-
it like something they could imagine existing down there based off of them believing that there's a Guardian down there.
All right,
Okay.
get this. So go to like page 2, like further earlier. Like, keep going. This one. Back. I wish I had control. That one. Yes.
Yeah, the
Cool.
adventure into Area Zero.
Read it really quick.
Within the great crater of Paldea lies the mysterious Area Zero, a place home to such landscapes such as plant life and such Pokemon as we had never seen. It is inhospitable to human life, and as such, a suspect, something altogether unknown to humankind, sleeps in its depths. So I think that's the third legend, and they're even talking about Pokemon that have not existed before. That tells me that it's not the time machine that allows the paradox to come through into Area Zero. I think this third legend is creating the paradox.
You see how it says it's sleeping in there? Its depths down there. Does it mention the Guardian there too, or no? I don't think it.
It just.
I thought it was twice somewhere.
So there's. Might be this one. No.
If that mentions the Guardian, then it might be about Roaring Moon or Iron Valiant, because that's the room they're found in.
Yeah, that one specifically.
Yeah,
but
no,
I don't think that one did.
I don't think those Pokemon are significant enough. I mean, they're literally just it's just a stronger paradox Pokemon.
It's been implied to be, though. I mean, for the fact that, one, they're stronger paradoxes. Two, they moved them separate from the other paradoxes and put them right up with Koraidon, Miraidon in the dex, like it's after Baxcalibur. And then also, I mean, if we were to move into like Leaks territory, there was implications of like a class of paradoxes, and we kind of never got anything with that, like at least in the main game.
So here's another mention of the Guardian. Legends tell that precious stones or wondrous fruits have long slept in Area Zero's depths, protected by some manner of Guardian.
There you go.
Okay.
So there is some kind of Guardian down there sleeping that no one knows about, and its power is crazy. I just think it's the third legendary. Actually, so I was going to say this earlier. If you look at the third legendary like drawing, this is my main theory on it. If you flip it upside down, like flip it, the top of it, like the black hole. No, you don't need to. I'm just saying, like in your mind, like the black hole part of it could be like the crater, and you go down into Area Zero, and then the hexagon is kind of like the diamonds or the crystals, and then the third legendary is like way down at the very bottom.
That's like so cool.
In the pit of it.
The crown is like would be like the wormhole or something. Dude, that is so cool. So we see that in science fiction. We see that in a lot of fiction. Where I'm thinking of Star Wars right now, where they go into what they think is a cave, and it ends up being like the mouth of a worm. Right? We see that in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. You're in the belly of the beast. That's literally a saying, right? Like like you think it's a cave, and then all of a sudden it starts moving. That'd be crazy, dude. If all of a sudden it starts moving and you have to like leave out of it.
That'd be sick. I'm
really
so
cool.
excited for this. See, this is what I mean by like it feels like this DLC is like so much more wide scale than Sword and Shield. What was the DLC? Hey, come to this island and train, and then hey, come to these snowy mountains. There's a little guy
No, that was
looking
good.
for his horse.
That was all good content. That was really good content.
I'm not like hating on it at all. It was good, but I'm saying it wasn't wide scale. You're helping a guy find his horse, and you're helping a guy raise a bear.
Those are like add-ons.
World like it's.
I feel like this DLC
large
is gonna.
Scale.
This DLC is gonna conclude the story. It's actually gonna be woven into the story, the main story of Scarlet and Violet. That's cool. I like that.
Which is really funny because people complained about Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra saying, "Oh, Pokemon locked part of their game behind a paywall," and now they're literally doing that.
I think you should like gauge it in the way that what we're talking about is like extreme, and then what we got in the Sword and Shield DLC is like somewhere in between those two is probably what we're gonna get, if that makes sense, because it's Game Freak still. Like it's still gonna be like pretty chill.
So I'm reading this, and so Herba Mystica were grown in Area Zero, I'm imagining, and then basically like so this could be some sort of specialty route created by the third legendary as well. That would explain how like crazy that is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really depends like how much it's involved with all of this stuff. It'd be crazy.
About a special route. So what I'm hearing is this guy went down to Area Zero, and he took some substances and then wrote this
what
book.
Happens. That's kind of what happened.
And that's why no one believes him. They got to the page where he's like, I found this really good tasting root that made me feel really good, and they're like, yeah, no, this guy, this is all a load of crap.
Yeah. You're not supposed to eat Morolol. It's a Pokemon.
A soul.
Oh no. But mushrooms are so good.
In fairness, though, you do eat Toad School. They've made that very clear.
That's true.
Gross.
I'm trying to look for more hints for this. So we have this page, Mysterious Plates. During our descent into Area Zero, we came across a buried metal plate inscribed with strange symbols. We attempted to shave off a piece of the plate, but failed to leave even a scratch. So this is some sort of like mysterious alien material. Even determining the nature of the metal seems beyond modern science. We know not why the inscription was made, let alone how.
Look, hear me out. So, DLC or Scarlet and Violet is called the Crystal Kingdom, and you find out there's like a little like tribe of people. It could even be aliens. I don't care, and they're like worshippers of the third legendary, and that's where all this stuff is, or like where it's coming from. Rather, I would love that.
I think it's going to be
so cool.
Paradox Pokemon that'll be. So, I think yeah.
I was just going to say, like, that's the answer to your, like, not all of them are steel type. I think that's the metal that those paradoxes are made of.
That's cool.
Like,
ooh, that's good.
I like that.
That's why they brought it up. So I've been through, like, all these pages a million times. The biggest things were the ones I pointed out towards the third legendary. I think these ones all have to do with those symbols that are on the like, box art. Like, that's one of the symbols right there. So it's kind of tough to know what those symbols are even about. But it has to do with like time travel or whatever, like whatever's happening down in Area Zero.
So we've got this image of this is the Scarlet book. It's the it's a depiction of this. It's just an imagined Pokemon. That's what it's called. But it looks like Suicune, Entei, Raikou all mashed together into some sort of paradox Pokemon. And I don't even think I don't even think this has been totally solved. I think we want to be like, oh, these Pokemon have been. They've been imagined to exist, right? So they're not actually biologically natural. But part of me is still like, maybe this is an ancestor to what the three legendary dogs became, right? That's something that I've thought about.
I have some theory on this. Also, I do think it's important to mention that while that's in the Scarlet book, the Violet book is the same thing, just a mechanical version of, it actually doesn't even look mechanical, but it's a paradox version of the Swords of Justice from Unova.
Yeah.
But my whole thoughts are, there are some good points about the whole dream theory, imagined Pokemon theory. Obviously, the point is that they came from a time machine that the professors made right now in the present. And how the heck did they see these Pokemon, see Great Tusk and Iron Treads, way back when that Expedition Area Zero happened? I think it was 87 years ago. That's not possible, right? Well, first off, I will say that's why they're paradox Pokemon. They're literally a paradox in that sense. They shouldn't have been seen then. So it is a paradox. But we'll also say, I think that the third legendary, it's not that he's bringing imagine things into reality, but rather he's bringing like it's some kind of time legendary, very similar to Dialga, but instead of like a guardian of time, it's more like this is just a reality warping thing where these Pokemon are from the past, but he's bringing them in because the thing that biggest hole in the imagined Pokemon theory is if they're all imagined, then how the heck did the professors build a working time machine? Because they did. They built a working time machine. They brought Pokemon out of it. You actually witness them bringing a Pokemon out of it and a ball. Like, you witness that. And you witness, like this time machine working and moving and stuff. So they got a working time machine. So I'm thinking what it is this legendary is so powerful. It is oozing off stuff that's just warping the space-time continuum. And these professors learned how to harness that energy and basically make it where they can click a button to activate that warp, right? And that's their time machine. That's my theory on it. So I don't think he's reality warping in the sense of he is changing reality, WandaVision style, but he's changing like the time-space continuum.
So I don't know. I mostly look at the Violet book. I'm sorry. I mostly look at the Scarlet book, and now that I'm looking at the Violet book and just kind of analyzing what we know, but with these future Pokemon, it really would make sense if these scientists were just like imagining something that could exist based on maybe something that they did see, or maybe not even did. Maybe they didn't even see it, but they just, this would be kind of cool. And then it was brought into reality. That really would actually make sense of these mechanical looking Pokemon that are actually organic. Because that's a big thing that just kind of like doesn't really make sense. I know Pokemon doesn't need to make sense on a biological level, but it is kind of interesting to think. Typically if something's mechanical, it's metal, it's steel type, right, or electric type. So that's kind of like breaking my brain a little bit.
I mean, sure, but like we have examples of things outside of that. Like we have. First off, all these Pokemon being made of metal, but not being steel type. There are plenty of Pokemon that live in the water but aren't water type. Dragonair, Graplock, Malamar.
I think that's a little bit different, but yeah.
It is a little bit different, but then also you have to factor in that these Pokemon, like, there are other examples of man-made Pokemon that are not steel type or are not electric type. You have Porygon.
Like Voltorb.
He's digital. Yeah. Voltorb, we actually know from Hisui, he's actually natural.
Yes.
But you have... people speculate that Ditto is. That's another normal type. Mewtwo.
That's true. So that'd be like an organic thing becoming electric type. That is a fair example. So
I think it's possible they adapted a kind of metal body, but not necessarily a steel type, just in the sense of like, they needed the other type more because that's how evolution works. Is but not even adapting traits they need.
It's not even the metal then. It's the fact that they have LED eyes and they have like shutdown periods and they like work like my iPhone, right? Like seriously.
That's what they were going for.
Like Iron Jugulis, his face turns on like this and then it shuts off like this. Like that is so bizarre to me. Okay, so the other thing that I was thinking about is there really has always been time travel. Always, since Generation 1. Pokemon travel through time from Gens 1 to 2. Then they, from 3, you can move it up to Gen 4, to Gen 5. And those are all separated. Like the main characters in those games, the settings of those games are anywhere from 5 years apart to 20 years apart. So that's time travel right there. You can also, store stuff in Pokemon Bank to home, move it all the way up. I feel like time travel has always existed. So maybe it's not even that crazy of a technology for Sada and Turo to invent. time travel on a larger scale. I think it's different if they're time traveling human beings. That might be the hiccup in all of this. But I think to time travel Pokemon, it's really not that outrageous. Which means like maybe that's why, I don't know. So maybe the third legend really isn't a time traveler. The third legend has this ominous power, makes it look like Pokemon are from the future or past, and then Turo and Sada are trying to obtain that.
I'll say, like, so for Lumi's whole theory that he was saying, I think it's just way too complicated for Pokemon itself to like go into all of that. I mean, a little bit they might dip into there, but I think the more like simple but still complicated theory would be kind of what Dusty said. Is just that it takes people's ideas and makes them into reality. So if like they wanted a time machine, it made it possible for them to make a time machine. Does that make sense? It's not that like
but then it would still be a question of then how the heck does so they wanted a time machine, so it let them make a time machine. They made a time machine. They're getting these paradoxes from the time machine. So it would at least mean that these paradoxes, at least the past ones, I would think, are the true ancestors to the modern day Pokemon. Now, obviously, the future one's a lot more speculative, because even if they are pulling them from the future, that is a future. But there's only one past, right? And so the fact that they've made a working time machine and they're getting Pokeballs out of it, and these things are coming out of the Pokeballs, makes me think, okay, well, then they're truly ancestors.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. I think that's just the paradox part about it, and that they weren't always there. Sada and Turo, they were like you said, 87 years ago. These same paradox Pokemon were there. You know, it's like it's very inconsistent with everything. I don't think that we can actually figure it out until they tell us. But I don't even know if they will tell us. But it's a paradox.
Better tell us. I'm gonna lose my mind if they don't tell us.
It's a paradox. It doesn't make sense. Like, you know, like it's just like, how are they here?
Did they explain Ultra Beast?
That's a lazy explanation, though. They explained Ultra Beast. They straight up said they're from alternate dimensions. You know, so I mean, they have to explain these. If they don't explain these, I'm going to lose my mind. You can't draw attention to the mystery out of it. You can't have Arvin go, wait a second, how did these show up in the present day from my parents' time machine? But they were also here 87 years ago before the time machine. And then never do anything with that. That is so lazy.
That's definitely the biggest thing against them actually just bringing them in from a different time period. And
but we watched them do it.
Yeah. I don't know, though. Who knows? Who knows? I was looking at some Dex entry of a Pokemon. It was random. It wasn't the Cyclozar one. I forget which one it was. It might have been Toadsquirrel, but I don't remember. But it also said something about it being in ancient times. And I'm like, why are they doing this? Why are you saying that this was in ancient times? Oh, it couldn't have been that. It was something that is a paradox Pokemon, actually. I wish I remembered. Anyway, but it's just like, why are you saying this was ancient times? Yeah, it was a similar thing, but it wasn't Cyclozar. It was a different Pokemon. Same exact scenario. And it was just like, why?
Well, it's because there's different levels of ancient. Like, we refer to the time where when we find old ruins made by humans, we refer to that as ancient times. But then there's also times, like even before that, where dinosaurs and stuff. Well, that's even further ancient. So that would be the implication. There's like ancient times in relation to humans, and then there's ancient times in relation to the world in general. So Cyclozar, ancient times for humans, but Great Tusk is ancient times for Pokemon. It is prehistoric. Humans weren't a thing when Great Tusk was walking around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I get that. Even explains their evolution. Like a lot of them, I did a whole video on this where I talked about Screamtail and Koraidon specifically. I think that the reason they became Jigglypuff and Cyclozar was because of domestication. I mean, they literally want to adapt the normal type, and then they lose that crazy primal, Screamtail's got the fangs and everything, and instead kind of adapts to a more, ideal pet, just like we did with wolves.
Yeah, it's true.
So for these ones though, it does say imagined, but that could just be like they imagined it in drawing it, right? You know, like that's the biggest thing. It's like, oh, I
Yeah,
imagined
they
this
saw
Pokemon in my
something.
mind and I drew it, you know.
Oh, yeah. So it's okay. So you're saying like the third legendary or something was putting the thought into their mind. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe I wasn't, but that also is a thing. I was saying what you were going to say, which is that they just were
They
drawing
witnessed
what
it.
they saw. Yeah, a little bit
Yeah,
of what they saw and just imagine the rest of it kind of thing.
yeah.
Um,
But an
which,
imagined Pokemon is very particular because like
yeah,
earlier in here they do mention like what is it? Great Tusk is what do they call it? Monster of Area Zero. It's like something that they saw. They
it's so,
began to catch glimpses of mysterious Pokemon. And
yeah,
then this really is probably going to be more accurate. It's a simplified version, but it is like while it is not exactly what Great Tusk is, it is very similar.
it is. I think that the all of the other ones are going to be a lot more different though. Um, like, so if you look at Great Tusk and Iron Treads, there's only like a few differences. I'm an artist, so an artist's eye can like see a few things. Like the top, those spikes are like way longer and crazy, and there's just one line of them across the back of Great
Yeah.
Tusk, and like his feet have like clouds instead of fur, and the tusks are like way bigger. So there's things like that aren't the same, but I think that the like Suicune and Virizion ones will be a lot more different looking than that. I don't
Interesting.
know. It's DLC stuff, so who knows like what what we're gonna get. A lot of times we get different forms of things. You know, I was just thinking about like, you know, Urshifu. They have different forms. You know, I'm just thinking if these are the big special Pokemon of DLC, then they'll get different forms. The third legendary too.
Oh, that's
I think
interesting.
I
There's
think
like the,
every third legendary has had a form change as
yeah.
well.
Maybe, yeah,
Yeah, except for
Rayquaza got
yeah.
its Mega form though.
So Mega Rayquaza,
Zygarde
Origin,
did, Eternatus did.
Mewtwo, if that counts.
Oh, that's not
yeah.
third legendary. That's
It's not a
just
third legend, but it's sorry.
But no, it's true, right? So like I think that when we look at the third legendary, especially like if it looks like that, it's going to change again
Yeah.
into something else. Like there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to have another form other than
Well,
that.
would again go with like what I said earlier about like there being like a divine form and like it's kind of earthly form. So it may honestly be like Eternatus, where it does have this other like worldly form, but you'll never like use it. You'll see it in the game, you will not use it like Eternamax Eternatus.
I hope it's not that.
Its
I'd never
signature
want that
move
again.
will probably bring it out just like Eternatus's Eterna Beam. It
Please,
would like
no.
fly up and change into it. Yeah. Yeah, that's
I would
gonna
be
be it,
upset.
Soul. Soul, that's gonna be it. Go ahead and accept it.
I'm already like not in love with this third legendary. I like it a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like third legendaries to me are like the cream of the crop, the best. I love all of them.
They're epic.
And
They're climactic. They're edgy.
yeah,
They're cool. They expand the lore. This thing seems very bulky. At least based on like this depiction by Daedric, and then you got like, I mean, and then
I could
and then
totally
what's in the
see
Scarlet
them.
book.
Yeah, I could totally see them making like a wacky third legendary because basically all of Gen 9's Pokemon are pretty wacky or just like regular plain animals. That's what that's what Gen 9 designs have been. So this thing could totally be one of those eggs, like the jeweled egg things. That's what it looks like, right? And that's what he drew it as well. I forget the specific name of them, but they're like artifacts that are
So
covered in
okay,
jewels.
if the third legendary, let's say there's like a traditional base form of the third legendary, what if it does something where it's like I don't know how they would explain this, but to fit in with the gimmick or the new, to fit in with the paradox. What if there was a future and past paradox form of the third legendary? I feel like that'd be an interesting way to give it a new form.
Yeah, that
Even
would
though
be
those
awesome.
aren't new forms, I'm just trying to think of like in Gen 5. I don't know. Most of the I know what you're saying. Like most of the forms expand or fall into the same category as the other legendaries or whatever. Whatever that's in the region. Like Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
It would be cool if like that was its alternate forms, as like a paradox of the past and a paradox of the future.
Like its power got loose and was used against it,
Right.
or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've
That would be really neat.
I've had like this crazy theory that it's like a future or past paradox form of Zygarde because of the hexagons.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's what it is. Like, there's no way. But it technically, paradox Pokemon are their own Pokemon, so it wouldn't be like Zygarde, but it would be Zygarde.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like works.
I still kind of think it won't be a paradox at all, but might serve as an explainer of them of some kind. But I think they won't want to make it a paradox just because they're going to want this to be tied more into Terrasol. Because you figure if you look at ever since we got Mega Evolution, they kind of tied that into the main story with like Mega Energy and Infinite Energy, and like that's what's used to power the ultimate weapon. And then they dove a little bit deeper into that with Hoenn, with like creating primal reversions and comparing and contrasting those. You had Z moves were explained in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon by being like shards of Necrozma or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Eternatus is the reason Pokemon can Dynamax. Well, then what do we have for Terrasol? We have nothing. So I think they're going to really hone in on the Terrasol aspect of the games more so than the Paradoxes. There'll obviously be Paradox content because we know that there's new Paradox Pokemon coming in, but I think in large it will mainly be about Terrasol.
I don't know.
I agree. No, because it's like that's all that they talk about when it comes to third legendary. I don't know if you found the other book, but it's in like one of the labs in Area Zero, and it just like literally states that the third legendary makes Terrasol with its hexagonal plates, and there was nothing in these games that said anything about where Terrasol came from, why they use it, any of that stuff. It's just
only thing is like they talk about like the first Terrasol Pokemon was seen this many years ago, and then the professors 10 years ago made the Terra Orbs where you could, terrestrialize.
I gotta read this.
That's in the history class.
Okay, I haven't gone to school.
Dusty, you need to go to school.
I do.
I put out a tweet yesterday. I was like, I wish that real life school was as short as the
short.
Academy.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
A minute long.
It's so funny too, because like people have treated it like real life school. Like I was making a video and I was talking about one of the school classes. So for it, I'm like looking for pictures of the school classes, and I see IGN has posted like cheat sheet to the midterms and finals for every Scarlet and Violet. I'm like, are you kidding me? We've really done this?
Yeah, it's on. That's funny.
If you're going to the Naranja or Uva Academy, do not go sneak off to the bathroom during the test so you can pull up IGN's cheat sheet to use on the final. That is so not cool, man.
I'm gonna need to use that.
I think I've gotten one question wrong so far.
That's it. I think I did too, but I think I was like it wasn't in the history class. I was like spamming A through something, and
yeah, that's how it works. But you brought up the Terra Orbs. Another thing that I've been connecting the third legendary to is the Terra Orb. Doesn't it kind of look like it?
It looks like this thing. It looks like the third legend. Yeah, that's a really
exactly. Good point. It looks like it. I don't know how they could be connected, other than maybe they made it like as an example of that, or I'm trying to think of the right word.
Yeah,
based off of that.
And there's literally a Pokemon on the inside. That's really cool.
Like it's that. Okay, so I wish I could send it to you really quick. Maybe I can.
I wonder if we'll have to catch the third legendary in that. That would be really cool. And like
that'd be cool. And that's the Pokeball,
like, similar to how for Legends Arceus again. Hence you had to catch the origin form in like the I don't remember what it was called, but it was like it looked like an ancient Cherish ball.
Yeah, that's really cool. Oh,
I sent a picture in the chat. Like
I got it. One second.
That little crystal in there, it goes into it.
It's really neat that they made this. I love that.
Yeah. I haven't seen this. We do have some user comments. I think they tie into what we're discussing right now. So from DTKB0, they write, I could see a past Paradox Venusaur, a future Paradox Blastoise, in both a past and future form of Charizard. This reads kind of like funny and ironic, but I could definitely see that.
Oh, he's right.
Absolutely. There's been a lot of cool.
Right.
Can you imagine what people will do? I posted an artist. I don't even know how to say his name. I know his name, but I don't know how to say it, so I'm not even going to. But he's making like all of these 3D art of paradoxes, and he did a Charizard one that I need in my life.
Oh yeah, the little like something worm was what it was called. Yeah,
it's amazing. It's like a Chinese dragon kind of thing. It's not even Charizard to me, right? But
it looks like
it
looks like dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's far down there. You would not find it.
I will say I do think I have a theory that I'm actually the time that we're recording I'll be posting this on Friday, and basically I think that or Thursday, I don't know my schedule, but I think that it's interesting that in Area 0 the regular Pokemon that you can find there, it is Burning Worm. Yeah, that thing's so cool. And it has traits of Zard X and Zard Y in it. Like, it's got the face of Y, but like the flames coming out of the mouth like X. It's really neat. That kind of ties into my theories on all those pretty well, so I appreciate that. But I think it's interesting that Area 0, a lot of the regular wild Pokemon you can find, they got something special. So, like, you can find wild Girafarig down there and Farigiraf because Girafarig got an evolution. B-Sharp because it got an evolution. You have Donphan and Volcarona. Well, that's the thing. They're not all like that. They're not all like that, but that's what I'm saying is I wonder if some of them are hints to they might give them something. Because, like, one of the ones you can find down there is Raichu. Tell me that you wouldn't want a past Paradox of Raichu that's based off of Gorochu.
Yeah, because
they did do Beta Magneton for Paradox Magneton for Sandy Shocks.
So cool. That would be so cool.
It would be the perfect way to do Gorochu, which they know the fans have been begging them for. And it also lines up because Pikachu didn't get any love this generation. What's up with that? You know?
That's true.
They got 2 exclusive Z moves, and he got a Gigantamax. You gotta give him a Paradox.
And they removed Pikachu's anime cry.
It's true too, yeah.
I'm okay with that.
That's a downgrade. I prefer it. But they did take something away.
It's weird that it's like just a random cry and all the other Pokemon don't have it. Like it's just like, oh look, Pikachu and Eevee have their own voice.
Mascot.
Yeah,
it's the mascot.
So I'll say this: I could definitely see Charizard getting a Paradox form, just because of Charizard shilling.
What do you mean Charizard shilling? Do that?
Blastoise and Venusaur are not in the game, period. So unless they bring them back for DLC and then also give them Paradox forms, will they though? Do we actually know that?
I don't think they'll.
It's not confirmed.
Paradox.
But...
Yeah, no, it's not confirmed. I'm saying they will, as in it's Game Freak, and they, they're gonna bring Blastoise and Venusaur back in DLC.
That's
it would be
weird
tough
that they
if
wouldn't
they
put
did
it
it
in the base game.
I will say I could totally see them doing a Paradox Charizard and not Blastoise and Venusaur.
Yeah, I could see
that. I know people will be upset about that, but I could see it.
To be honest, I don't think that it's going to happen. I think that the special Charizard thing was this raid that's been happening. I think that's really going to be it for Charizard. I don't know.
Another thing is there's been talk of like
Charizard.
Special Terra hats.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also a question of what of these will get a Special Terra hat, because they're probably not going to give Charizard a Special Terra hat and give him a Paradox.
So is that something from the leakers? What do you mean Special Terra hat?
We'll say it's a rumor.
Speculated at least.
Yeah, it's a rumor. Let's say.
Since the legendary ties into Terrastal.
Interesting. So this goes back to what I was thinking earlier. Like, I feel like the Paradox are almost like an extreme version of a terrastization.
Oh no, you were doing so good with it.
I know.
I have to say, I don't know why everyone goes for terrestrialization. Like, that's the biggest, hardest word to say. Just say terrestrial. Like, that's
but it's
like
not right.
Dynamax.
It is right. It's called the Terrestrial phenomenon.
That's the more right.
Terrestrial phenomenon. All right.
Terrestrial. Terrestrial.
Thank you guys for being patient with me.
Terrestrial.
Everyone has these conversations.
Yeah. So I feel like that's how I am understanding these Paradox. It's like the third legendary has the power to change reality, and it's like scales will flake off, right? And those have an immense amount of power, enough to change a Pokemon's type entirely, right? It's not an additional type. It literally changes. It loses types, gets an entirely new type. And that's how powerful the scales are. But what if the third legendary can actually will something and control that power? It's basically bringing into reality a brand new Pokemon altogether. I guess the only way that can be broken, the theory, is the fact that Paradox aren't forms. But really, that is how I'm understanding this third legendary at the moment. All right, so Downbeat Dialga says, wonder if there's the potential for Paradox Pokemon of the Johto beasts, right? I mean, obviously
hasn't seen something.
Yeah, but I think this is cool because they gave names. Thunder Saber for Raikou, Molten Lion for Entei, and Northern Wind for Suicune. Just some ideas for the 3 Pokemon that were resurrected into Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. So their idea with this is the 3 Pokemon in Legend that Ho-Oh was said to revive from the Burning Tower in Johto basically would be these Paradox Pokemon that then are resurrected into the 3 beasts that we know. A couple things here. I feel like Paradox Pokemon are extremely powerful, and that would almost feel like these Pokemon were super powerful and then were downgraded into like just standard legendary status. So that doesn't really make sense. But I think it is interesting that maybe, I don't know, we see a depiction of a Paradox Pokemon that is all 3 of these legendary beasts, or has inspirations from all 3 of these. Right, and that is supported because we also have a Gardevoir Gallade Paradox. Rather than making 2 separate Paradox, they're just combined into one. But I think, I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
I think it's a missed opportunity. I think we had the Galar birds, right?
Yeah.
And it would have been really cool to have the 3 Paradox beasts. Just separate. I like that they're all together because I hot take here. I don't love the legendary beast that much, so it's kind of cool that they just clumped them into one and said, that's one.
And it's a brand new Pokemon. It's not just a regional form.
True. It's very.
I think it would be cool because data of mine has kind of hinted that this thing could be water fire typing. I think it would be really neat if it was water fire typing and they gave it a new ability that basically gave it stab for electric moves, so that had all 3 of their stabs. I think
I love that.
Would be cool.
I have not heard of that. That's really cool because fire water is, we have Volcanion and that's about it. This would be another great addition.
Yeah, I mean, and then for Virizion, its signature move is something blade, so maybe it would be grass steel, and then it could have its ability be, it gives it rock stab, to kind of reference their 3 typings.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm proud of it. What can I say?
I really hope that the drawings, I know I said this earlier, but I hope that the drawings are a lot more different than what we actually get, because I don't love the drawings.
I think they will be. I think they will, because the whole idea is, I mean, the fact is, the 3rd legendary one, we can pretty much say that it won't look exactly like that. Then even Great Tusk and Iron Treads, it doesn't look exactly like that. So I would think there are at least some minor differences here.
Yeah.
I think also, I'm noticing these depictions of the imagined Pokemon have far more detail, and they even have what are they called? Reference notes. There's notes talking about how these Pokemon will actually move, and that doesn't exist for the Great Tusk image, right? Or the Iron Tread image. This is just I saw it, let me just sketch it up real quick. So,
well, and that's an interesting thing too, is
because that would suggest that it's really accurate.
Right. Well, yeah, and we'll say that's another thing too, is if they saw Iron Treads and they sketched it down, they didn't imagine it. Saw it and sketched it down. So why was it down? I don't know.
This one is imagined, where the other one was actually seen.
Maybe it's a mix of both.
Yeah, I'll take that and turn it around. I think the opposite. I think that because it was a sketch, it's actually more less accurate. That it's a sketch. And I was going to say this earlier, but when you look at the 3rd legendary, it's inked. It's not sketched. This is someone drew this, and the 3rd legendary one is actually a whole. This is what this is. I sketched it and then I inked it. It's way more concrete. So I don't know. Just
Like the idea of him kind of becoming obsessed with it. You know what I mean? Like that
I
shows.
saw this in a vision. It must be real.
Right. Well, and like,
love it.
and like you have all those like like movies and stuff where someone like becomes super obsessed with something and like just pours everything into it.
The mad
And, like,
scientist.
there's been some kind of suggestion and data mine that Heath could play a role in DLC.
Yeah.
And if that is the case,
Then
it would be cool to like see that he's down there and he's like, no, I've got to find this thing, and like, he's just fully obsessed, and maybe even he's kind of the villain of it, and like there's like a whole turnaround where he's like, yeah, you can't go any further because I'm gonna be the one to find it. I've been searching for all this time.
Kind of a Volo part 2 though, but I still like it.
Well, and he looks kind of mean in the book. If you go to his picture, it looks he doesn't look like a friendly dude
right here. Yeah. He looks very like determined.
With him and Cyclozar.
Yeah, he's just determined. He's not angry. He loves.
Yeah, he looks very like.
He's got his arms crossed. He looks like he would yell at me.
He's just a very he's a serious researcher. He wants to find what he's looking for.
That's true. Everyone thinks he's a joke, right? You can see
he's a jerk. No,
the contrast between this guy. He's got
Yeah, they're all going into Area Zero, and they're like, sir, we've been attacked by like Pokemon, which someone's been mortally wounded by that great tusk. Mm-hmm. Can we please leave? And he's like, no, we're gonna press on further. He's a jerk. I don't trust him. He's evil.
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 So we have another question or another comment this one's by Benji XD. I hope we get AZ Floette. Area Zero standing for AZ. And there being countless Floette, no Flabebe and Florges in Area Zero is convincing me. Not only that, I remember reading somewhere that there's a Herba Mystica that lets you live eternally and forever. AZ Floette's stats make it look like a Paradoxmon, one base point lower than Florges. Maybe the name will be Eternal Flower. Shout out to the person who made the name up on Twitter. Oh, I don't even know who that is.
First off, that wasn't a made-up name. That's like actually what it is.
The Eternal Flower?
Like, that's called the Eternal Flower Floette.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Eternal Flower?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just thought it was... name. Yeah, it is, right here. AZ's Floette is an Eternal Flower Floette, befriended by AZ. Whoa. So the flower... What if the flower is the Herba Mystica? Interesting.
I will say this, though. I gotta say this on the AZ Area.
I don't think it's that crazy, Soul.
Look.
No, it's just deep. It's just deep.
Yeah.
It's deep, yeah. But the whole AZ Area Zero thing, to me, I do think that AZ is tied to this, but I don't think they named Area Zero after AZ. And the reason why is because, like, okay, so Nagasaki, Japan, we dropped a nuke on it. The U.S. dropped a nuke on it. They didn't rename that area America. You know what I mean? That seems a little weird to name a place after the person who dropped a nuke on it.
Yeah, I guess that does kind of relate, but I don't know. It's just, another thing is obviously languages. Like in Japanese, it's probably not the same. But if it is, I would definitely get very.
You can check on Bulbapedia.
I'm on Bulbapedia. Where would I be able to see that?
You'd have to find AZ's name in Japanese, and then you'd have to find the name of Area Zero.
Both. AZ Japanese is AZ.
Yeah, that.
And then what is Area Zero in Japanese?
I have no idea, but
all right. Well, okay. So
I will say this: the Eternal Flower in Japanese, still Eternal Flower.
Really? Okay. Well, there. I do love the idea of its paradox name being Eternal Flower. I didn't even realize that. I've been overlooking that. I will say, okay, so this is like a really fun idea to think about, right? Especially that like AZ was befriended. Or AZ in the Floette is from 3,000 years ago. It's kind of nice to be like, oh, maybe the Paradox are from 3,000 years ago. But the thing that I'm realizing is all the Paradox Pokemon, the past ones, have yellow eyes. And this Floette really does look kind of untouched, right? I think the connection there is nice, but it really doesn't change that much. It's really the flower that changes, and it is a different color. It's like a shiny Floette. I feel like to match the other Paradox, it'd be a lot like grumpier. It would have the yellow eyes. It doesn't have a tail.
We had Battle Bond Greninja retconned. If they really, really wanted to, they could, in DLC, add Eternal Flower Floette and change its design a little bit. Just give it the yellow eyes. They
That's
could.
true. That's true.
They could, especially because it was never officially released. Like,
Right.
it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
officially existing
I mean, it was
anywhere.
officially no. I mean, but it was because you did see it in the game. You just couldn't use it. You know, like a Turnamax Eternatus. But I
True.
still think they wouldn't care and they'd retcon it because Ash Greninja existed in the game, and they have now retconned that out of existence. And I mean, it was a huge part of the anime, and they retconned it out of existence.
Yeah.
I still am like skeptical about Ash Greninja coming back. I know it's not in the
It's
game
not
code
coming
and all
back.
that.
It's not coming
But I'm
back.
just like, they could just drop one easy. Like, they have other designs that are not in the game code.
I mean,
they could drop it back in there.
but the difference is that Greninja will be available with Home. So once Home releases, you're going to be able to bring in your Battle Bond Greninja, and it's going to do something different. It's not only the fact that they removed Ash Greninja.
It just has a different ability, doesn't it?
No, it has a
thing.
different ability, but allowed it to access a form change. But they not only got rid of the sprite for Ash Greninja, they also changed what the ability does. Like, the ability now says something different. Now says that it just raises its stats. So they're totally retconning it, which does suck, because Greninja is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, and they murdered his special form, and it's
Poor guy.
upsetting.
I don't mind too much because I like the standard form way better.
Do like standard form better, but I because I loved it so much, I loved so my favorite Pokemon's Lucario. So I love that he has a Mega Evolution. I love that they gave him Mega Lucario. So that's how
I'm
I
the
felt with
opposite
Greninja,
there. The Mega's way better.
Well,
for me.
So that's because you're an evil person who bullies innocent Morlul.
He's just an edgelord.
Yeah.
It's maybe true. Like, that thing looks so much cooler. I love the tail.
It does
and
look
spikes.
cooler. I do like Mega Lucario better than Lucario. It's a better design.
Well, that's all I was saying.
It's my
You gotta
favorite
come
for
at me.
nostalgia. Yeah, but you don't like Lucario. I know you don't.
I do like Lucario. I just don't like its pants much. And this fixes its pants.
They're comfy and they're
Yeah,
easy
look
to
at
wear.
its pants.
Hold on. There's like a bunch of anti-poke art popping up in my computer.
Be careful looking up Lucario on Google Images, Dusty.
See,
Yeah,
I think, I feel like I like Lucario. Lucario is clean. Lucario is like a really clean design. I think that looks like a Pokemon. This looks like it looks like a Mega. I do like the tail.
It looks like a Paradox.
No, I think it is very cool, but it's like it's a Mega. It's literally what it is. I like how it gets more like iron spikes protruding out of its body. I do like that. I also like the hair. I think the hair is cooler. Honestly, a lot of it is an upgrade, but I think this is just so much cleaner.
Puffy pants.
Classic.
It's got puffy pants, man. It's like Miascarada. We got one more question by LM Mom Nialpha. That's pretty good.
Tried.
And then they brought up the idea of a Paradox Pikachu or Eevee. So they said Gorochu, which we did talk about, in a future Dragon Eevee. This is something, I got a new video coming out about Eevee and talking about like whether they would do Paradox. I personally don't think, you guys can hop in, but I personally do not think we will be getting any sort of evolution that isn't just a traditional evolution. I don't think they're going to touch Eevee in that way.
They already did.
No, they haven't.
They did?
Gigantamax Eevee.
That's not an evolution though.
I mean,
That's
but that's what I'm saying is Paradox would be that way. I mean, it's
not even
a form in
Eevee,
that
technically.
sense.
It's not even an Eevee.
Right. I mean, and it would still, if you go by the rules of a Paradox, they always keep one of the typings, but replace the other or add another. So it wouldn't be a dragon; it would be normal dragon.
It would be
that
normal.
scenario. Or it would be normal electric, normal steel, whatever it is. So it'd be dual type 2, so that would make it different from all its evolutions, because it's not normal water Vaporeon, it's just water.
I feel like they would have. Yeah, what's up?
I agree that they're not going to do anything with it, but I think it would be a smart idea to do it.
I think if they did,
that makes a lot of sense to me. But
I think if we got any sort of Paradox for Eevee, it would truly be like a the Paradox Virizion or the Paradox Suicune thing, where you have 3 different inspirations brought into one, or maybe 2 different inspirations. So it'd be like Jolteon, Flareon, Vaporeon as a Paradox. It'd be kind of like that. It'd
be really cool.
But, and then the Pikachu is definitely something where I'm like, that's got to happen. So, do you guys have any wish list items for Paradox Pokemon? Like, you guys personally? Maybe just like one thing that you would love to see get a Paradox. I think we talked about how like I mean, any sort of starter or whatever would be sick. And I think also anything that's in the Area Zero, I think could potentially get a Paradox. But is there anything that you guys love? Any Pokemon that you would love to get a Paradox?
So nice that I can talk about this because my video's already out when this will go up, but it's not out yet when we're recording, so I can talk about this. But I had an idea. I had a couple of ideas. First the Gorochu one for a past Paradox. I was thinking of another past Paradox I would really, really like to see is of I was thinking Corviknight could get both. You do a past one where he has no armor. And then you do a future one where he's all armor, and he controls like little feather drones, kind of referencing its Gigantamax in the same way that Iron Valiant references the Mega and Roaring Moon references the Mega,
Louis! That's
Go-Goat,
so sick.
like a Go-Goat that's pure iron and just steamrolls through everything. That one's for you, Dusty.
That's awesome. I love that.
And I was thinking, so don't do anything with Masquerain, Frostmoth, or Venomoth because they've already done 2 for Volcarona. But I was thinking it would be cool to do Surskit and do like a little robot droid that like goes into places and then explodes, things like that. I think that would be so neat.
Surskit is so good. I used Surskit in a playthrough of Emerald version, and it was tough to use, but I gave it like Ice Beam and stuff. It was a lot of fun to use.
It's a fun little mon. It's cute. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah,
what about you, Sol?
There was others too, but I'm blanking on what they were.
Yeah, I've never thought about this, but if I just instantly when I think about it, I think I'd love to see some legendaries get Paradox forms. I don't know which ones, but legendary Pokemon getting it would be awesome. But my original thought was just like I really want new forms for the new Pokemon. Like I loved that Gigantamax gave new forms, forms to new Pokemon. Like I love that, and I really missed it here. And I feel like a lot of Pokemon that came out in Gen 9 could like evolve still or change still. To
Geary, give us a true Dragon Roll.
Yeah, like how crazy would it be? I don't think that they can. Well, they could. They could get Paradox forms of them as well.
They could. I think they could.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's true. So the number one that I would get is I love the Dunsparce, but how crazy cool would it be if they did like an ancient the Dunsparce that's like literally flying dragon stuff?
Yeah, the whole thing, it used to soar the skies in ancient times from Sun and Moon.
Right. That's my number one pick.
That is pretty amazing. I think, that is really cool. I feel like a lot of new Pokemon are deprived of that, and it's just like they give it to us, and they're like, we're not touching this. I feel like all these new forms, regionals, whatever, has been a way to like redesign or bring new life to old Pokemon and make old Pokemon relevant, whether it's competitively or just through marketing. But yeah, I think Gen 8 did a good job in that sense. I do want to see more of that going forward. Like it was cool in Gen 8, we got like new regional forms for things from Gen 5. That was amazing. I mean, those Pokemon are old at this point, but it's still like really cool to see new forms of Darmanitan.
If they did the Dunsparce for a past form, I think it'd be cool if they took one of the other evolutions, Annihilate, Farigiraf, or Kingambit, and gave it a future form.
That's sick.
That'd be cool.
All right, so just
Farigiraf as armor tail, do like an actual armor tail.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the list of Pokemon that are in Area Zero. We talked about Eevee earlier, right? That was a question. Espeon and Umbreon do exist. Only those two evolutions exist in Area Zero. That'd be dope if we got an Espeon Umbreon.
You could find Vaporeon there too.
Dark and
you can. Okay, it's right here. Yeah, okay. So that dream's dead. I also think
that's where I found shiny.
I think now if we're talking about like Lumi, you have that great theory connecting Megaforms to Paradox Pokemon, right? How Megaforms are basically using the DNA of these Paradox Pokemon, the past Paradox Pokemon, to create these new forms. We have Pokemon like Camerupt and Medicham in Area Zero.
Yeah.
I could see those Paradox or those past Paradox Pokemon looking very primal. Camerupt,
Medicham was always it always reminded me, like, it always felt to me like a counterpart to Hariyama in a way. Yeah. So it'd be cool to give it a past one since Hariyama got a future one.
Yeah. And then I really love your Corviknight take. That was pretty incredible. I could see a similar thing for Dracloak. A future
would be cool.
a future Dracloak, right? Because it's dead, but what if it's like revived?
Or even a past one, because like it
past
used
one
to
would
live
make
in the
a lot of
seas or
sense.
whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where it's alive.
An apex predator or whatever.
Yeah, that's sick. And then, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of these cool Pokemon. I didn't even know you could get Houndstone in this game. Or
That's
dude,
in the room with Roaring Moon.
or we get like a future Flamigo or something.
That'll be funny.
That'd
That'll
be
be
awesome.
funny. It uses its head as like a whip.
Yeah, that's sick. This was a super fun episode. If you guys enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify, consider rating us. If you guys like this, follow along, consider rating us. Yeah, thank you guys for being with us. Signing off.
Bye.
Peace.